Welcome to the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Wednesday, October 18th. Over the last 1 to 2 weeks, we've seen only lighter amounts of precipitation over the northern half of the Great Basin, mainly in the higher terrain, but most of these areas have remained below normal. Currently, we do have some snowpack in the higher elevations, especially in the Rockies, and then back further north and west into parts of Idaho and up into Washington. And our satellite loop from this morning shows generally clear skies, high pressure dominating the west, so giving us warm temperatures and lighter winds. So today that ridge continues to dominate the Great Basin. Our significant fire potential remains low to moderate in the far south, but still generally low overall across the region. Surface winds will be light under the ridge, and relative humidity will be in the single digits to low teens over far southern areas and generally above 20% and north of Highway 80. Transport winds will also remain light under the ridge, and mixing heights will remain relatively high over southern and eastern areas and just a little bit lower further north up into Idaho and northern Nevada. Similar conditions on Thursday with the ridge and lighter winds and lower fire potential with just low to moderate in the far south. Relative humidity drops a little bit further north as these temperatures continue to warm under the ridge, and we will see teens all the way up into northern Nevada, but still light winds and really no concerns. Transport winds will also remain light with higher mixing heights. As we move into Friday, this ridge starts to get pushed off to the east, and we will see a trough of low pressure moving into the west coast. So we will see a little bit more of a southwest or southerly flow across the Great Basin. Significant fire potential still remains unchanged, generally low to moderate in the far south, otherwise low in other areas. Surface winds will still remain on the light side, but might start picking up in the Sierra as that trough starts to move in. Otherwise, relative humidity generally unchanged, with teens across much of Nevada, into the southern half of Utah, and above 20 or 25% further north. Transport winds, again, no real changes except for in the Sierra and far western Nevada along parts of the Sierra front. We will see some of those transport winds increase to between about 20 and 30 miles per hour as that trough approaches. Otherwise, still light winds across the Great Basin with higher mixing heights as that trough moves in. Temperatures this week will remain very warm for the time of year. We'll see highs in the 70s and 80s region-wide and in the low 90s in the far south. These temperatures will likely peak on Friday this week, and then we'll see a couple degrees of cooling on Saturday, but really the main cooling starts Sunday going into next week, and we will see these temperatures drop around 20 degrees or more across the Great Basin as a cold front sweeps through the region. No precipitation expected over the next few days, again under that ridge with lighter winds, warm temperatures, and generally clear skies. As we move into Saturday, this is where you can see the deeper trough off the west coast will start to approach. So again, maybe a degree or two of cooling on Saturday, but still a relatively warm day with winds starting to pick up, especially over western areas of the Great Basin. We'll see gusts generally in the 20s to maybe 30 miles per hour. So we will see some improved dispersion over western areas as those winds pick up. And then fire potential remains generally unchanged, still low to moderate in the far south. As we move into Sunday, this trough and cold front moves through the Great Basin, or at least into the western half of the Great Basin, so we will see a more significant drop in temperatures starting on Sunday. Otherwise, dispersion will be improved as we do see this trough move through, and it will bring some gustier winds for southern and eastern areas especially. Significant fire potential still remains unchanged on Sunday. We will start to see some showers move in, but mostly that will be heading into next week. By Monday, this is where we'll really start to see that trough presence across all areas of the Great Basin with much cooler temperatures and some showers moving across the region going through next week with still good dispersion. And significant fire potential will start to decrease over parts of southern Nevada into southwest Utah as that moisture moves in. So again, expecting those showers to really sweep across almost all areas of the Great Basin. Doesn't look like anything especially heavy, but we will see at least some wetting rain amounts and some new snowfall in the higher elevations. And then by Tuesday, this trough moves into the Four Corners area, so most of the precipitation will be over the eastern half of the Great Basin, so still a wetter, cooler day for those areas, and cooler region-wide with low fire potential across the Great Basin. So looking at the precipitation amounts, this is from Saturday morning through Monday morning, and again, most of this will move through getting closer to the Sunday-Monday time period, showing those lighter showers over the northern half of the Great Basin. Could see some heavier amounts, especially in central Idaho, possibly the northern Sierra, but generally lighter amounts for most low elevation sites for the Great Basin. And then looking at days 6 through 7, so Monday morning through Wednesday morning, this is when the cold front sweeps through. So again, still looking at overall lighter precipitation, but we will see some heavier amounts and some new snowfall anywhere from central Idaho into eastern Idaho and Wyoming, and then down into the central Utah mountains. And then the 7-day total precipitation, obviously taking into account the entire event. So the heaviest precipitation will be felt up in central Idaho, but still again, generally on the lighter side with really the heavier precipitation further north into Idaho and over coastal areas of Washington and Oregon. The 8 to 14-day outlook from October 25th through the 31st shows cooler and wetter conditions, especially for the eastern half of the Great Basin, but we will have more troughs moving through, again, giving all areas at least some cooler temperatures. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.